Speaking of White Up Barrio, he may not be a horse that is post draw dependent, but we want to talk about horses who need the perfect post draw and what that post position or area might be. Aaron, this is an idea that you had. So, do you have an idea for who you want to start off talking about?
Well, I think let's start off with Messier. I think he's very interesting to me because we think he's got a shot to either be right off the lead or on it. I think it is very imperative that he gets 5 through 10, something like that. I do not want him all the way to the outside, and you don't really want anybody all the way to the inside. So I think Messier, it's very important where he draws. I'd love to see him right there in that middle.
Mike, what about you? Do you have a horse that to you thinks needs to be in a perfect post position there? I think that was a great one from Aaron.
I think Zandon is the horse that has to draw perfectly here because if you assume that there's not an abundance of speed, if Zandon draws the 1 and gets shuffled back, or the 20 and has to be 4 wide on both turns, he's screwed. You could say Modonagall is in the same spot as well. If you're one of the horses that's going to try and close and you don't draw well and you can't position yourself tactically, you got a problem. So, like, I agree that the Messier draw is important, but to me, it's more the Messier draw and the Teva draw and the speed draw really is more dependent based on who's going to be in front and where they're going to stack up. Whereas if Zandon or Modonagall draws inside or outside, they're off every ticket for me.
I'll go. Those are both great answers. I'll go a little bit sideways and go with Smile Happy. I think that's a horse that a lot of people are going to be wanting to bet. And if you like his chances, Smile Happy is another one that I think if he draws too far outside, he's going to get shuffled too far back, and he's going to be a lot of trouble. But you can say that for a lot of horses, right? And that kind of leads to what I thought was a great follow-up question here from Ken Falk. It says, with the draw being so important every year, does the winner of the Derby have to be between posts, say, 5 to 12 or so? Aaron, is that a good gap?
It's where you want to be. I think that's perfectly put, like the positions of 5 through 12. It's likely the winner's going to come out of there. Right. Some years, Ken, you might have a horse or two that can overcome something like that. When Pharaoh drew wide, it really wasn't that big of a deal. He was just a better horse. But we saw, you know what, as a guy who picked Essential Quality last year, he drew really wide. He had a really wide trip. He turned for home, and I thought, oh, he's looking just like Pharaoh did. He's going to gobble these horses up. He couldn't do it. So I don't think we have a horse this year that can overcome a bad post. So I guess to circle back around, yes, I think 5 through 12 is very important this year.
Mike?
It definitely helps, right? I don't think you have to be there. I disagree with Aaron. I think a couple horses can overcome it, depending on whether or not, look, if Messier draws inside of the 5, I'm not throwing Messier out because I think he is good enough to be able to have tactical speed, get out of the gate and go. There are certain horses drawing in certain places that are more valuable to me, like Messier to the 20. That's a little more of a concern to me than Messier to the 3, right? And I think it depends on the horse's style, where they want to be early, and then who else draws there. Like the other thing, like Messier in the 3, if you have, let's say, Creative Causeway in the 1, isn't so bad because you know what the 1's going. He's going, and so that gives you the ability to go right out to the outside, sit on his flank, and you will definitely be in second throughout the entire race, and you know it because no one's going to try and go by both of you. That'd be suicide. So a lot of it depends on where everyone else draws, but I think it's specific horses that can handle, that have more tactical ability, that can handle those more difficult posts. I kind of feel like if you're on the outside this year, you're in a lot of trouble, though, because there's a lot of horses that want to be tactical. And if you're 6 wide in the first turn in the second pack or the third pack, you can't win the race. So to me, because we have, these horses that are kind of 10 horses, I think it is, with 100+ time form that all want to be tactical but don't want the lead, those outside horses that draw tactical, those tactical horses that draw outside spots, I think are in a lot of trouble.
Nobody wanted to say that the Japanese horses need the perfect post draw? No?
What do you think? So Summers tomorrow's going, right? I mean, we can just kind of assume that. What does Crown Pride want to do here? Like, Magic, you I think, are the highest on the Japanese horses, I believe. You picked Crown Pride in the UAE Derby, and you seem to like him, and I know Aaron's been shitting on him, and I've been talking about he's going to get overbet. So what trip are you looking for from a Crown Pride perspective? Where do you think he tries to sit going into that first turn?
Where do I think he ends up sitting? I think he breaks poorly, and I think he gets shuffled too far back, honestly. I think Crown Pride's, he's not the fastest horse out of the gate in the UAE Derby this year specifically. We didn't have any good American horses there. So it's not like he was facing someone who can break the gate or has some class. I don't even remember who the hell our horse was. That was a Gilded Age or something like that, Mike. That was over there.
Gilded
He
Age was there.
terrible. So yeah, the Crown Pride, if you watch U8 Derby, you're like, oh, he didn't break that poorly, but a lot of those horses were very slow out of the gate. American racing, this is why the gap in the Kentucky Derby specifically is still really large between the American horses and the international horses. You've got to be speed out of that gate and be ready to go. And when you've got an international jockey riding in the Kentucky Derby for the first time on that horse, you remember Thunder Snow? I remember Thunder Snow. This is not going to go well.
Well, we are assuming Summer Tomorrow is going to go, and just what Magic just said.
Might
Who
not be
knows
fast
what he's
enough
going to
to
do.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're always just a guess. Will they run to their form or not? Like, I'm talking about their running styles even, it's a guess. I thought Mendelssohn would be on the lead. He didn't break well, and that was it. He was 18th, and he never picked up his feet.
We had, I guess we talked a little bit about Oscar performance yesterday. Mendelssohn today had his first horse debut at Keeneland, an 8-horse. Actually ran pretty well, going 5 furlongs on the turf. Was able to run up late. I'm not sure Mendelssohn is going to be as good of a win early sire as we see from Oscar performance, but still another fun freshman sire in this crop. I love freshman sires, so I'm going to keep bringing this stuff up.
Well, and Mendelssohn's a half-brother to Into Mischief, right?
Yep.
He is.
Yeah, so you've got yourself basically an Into Mischief pseudo-turf sire out there.
One of the reasons he was $3 million. It was not a cheap horse.
I forgot he was that much money.
Yep.
Yeah.
I miss being able to be against Mendelssohn. I loved Mendelssohn. God,
Mendelssohn,
I loved that horse.
How many wins in the U.S., Magic?
Just one.
Throw up the O. I don't believe he won in the U.S.
He won the juvenile turf, didn't he?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Since he actually came over. After that, he didn't win. Fine, give him the 1. I like the O more.
Save your O's for Kathleen. Let's see. We talked about the post-draw stuff. Why would a closer be handicapped by drawing the 1? Manu wants to know. Distance-saving trip, and actually it was brought up earlier, I think, by Manu. Yeah, looking at Lee. Got second a long time, was that 2017? Yeah, got second. Of course, looking at Lee's a little different. If you remember, that horse would break from the gate and then just stop and count to 10 and then start running. That's how far back he was. But Corey Landry had a nice trip there. So is it a closer used to this sort of a setup, Aaron?
They're definitely not in as much trouble as a horse that likes early speed, because the big thing with the 1, you got to break or you're done. Well, if you're a speed horse and you don't break, you're all the way shuffled back to 12th. So, no, they're not hindered quite as badly. But we've talked about you got to have some tactical position. Well, a closer drawing the 1 with 19 other horses to the outside of them, that's probably gone for them. They're probably just going to have to drop way back and try to make the 1 run, just like looking at Lee did. And like I said, he ran very well. But, I just, end of the day, it's not ideal even for a closer, because, again, a closer, you don't really want to be last. You want to be, at least mid-pack, sitting 10th, 11th, 12th. And if you draw the 1, you're probably going to be close to last.
I think the key is go back and watch some past derbies, even last year with the new gate. And I know that got brought up in the chat there. Watch what happened to Known Agenda. I mean, the thing is that you have a lot of horses that want to get out and get over. And if you're on the rail, man, watch what happens when they try and get over, because all of a sudden, let's say you're thinking, oh, I'm sitting here in 4th, and this wave comes over, and all of a sudden, oh, well, okay, I'm in 8th. That's not bad. And then the wave comes over, and you're like, oh, shit, I'm in 14th. Like, what happened? And that's what happens from that 1 post. And if someone is, and these are 3-year-olds earlier in their career, if someone's aggressively coming over, you're going into the rail if you don't check. And so you have these just tough trips from that 1 post, because horses are consistently, this flow is going over you toward that rail. It's why if you're in like the 4, you can work it out a little bit more, or the 5, because you're going to try and outbreak the inside horses and then start moving over. And so it's just tough, because either you have to just gun it and then go fast in that first quarter and slow down a little bit and sit in mid-pack or sit behind the speed, or you have to be willing to just drop all the way back. So, if I drew the 1, I'd rather be a dead closer, but the likelihood of the winner, or the likelihood of anyone hitting the board coming from 20th around that first turn, it's got to be sub 1%. I mean, it would be so difficult to do. Even if you save ground both turns, you got to work out a trip while saving ground. And so weaving through 19 horses, while some are quitting, some are going forward, others are just kind of plotting in place. It's just not an easy thing to do. And that 1 post just makes it extremely difficult to get any tactical position, because you're at the whim of all these other horses that are at your outside.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a presentation of RacingDudes.com, your destination for all things horse racing and sports betting. Whether you want free winners, expert insider picks, up-to-the-minute trackside weather reports, or podcasts and videos for bettors of all skill levels, never make another wager without visiting the Racing Dudes. First,